Hey everybody, it's me, Jake, from Jake and Off. Whoa, the podcast you're listening to right now. Thank you for tuning in to another episode this week. I am joined by a very special guest. It's Lacey Hopkins, everybody. Whoa, they're from DREAMGIRL. You know DREAMGIRL. Very awesome band based out of Kansas City. Very happy to have them on the show. We talked everything Titanic. They are a bit of an expert, so we got into some nitty gritty there on the Titanic and the submerse, short for submersible. And at the end, we talked a little bit about the sunrise movement. If you are in Kansas City and you're looking to get involved in your community, great place to start would be the Sunrise Movement KC. You can follow them at Sunrise Movement KC. It's Sunrise and then MT KC, and you can follow the national organization at Sunrise MVMT. If you're not from Kansas City, check out the branch locally, wherever you are. They're doing good work. Get involved in your community. Help people out. Do good stuff. Keep listening to this podcast. Please don't turn it off. If you could, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us a 5-star review. Listen, folks, if you love me, if you're, want to support this podcast, the best way to do it is to come out to a live comedy show. That's right. This week, the week that this debuts, Friday, June 30th, a live taping at the Emerald in Kansas City, above the bar, 9th and State in the West Bottoms. It's going to be awesome. Going to have a lot of members of the old Jake Off Nation there. So, not going to want to miss that. I will put the ticket link in the description for this episode. Please be sure to check it out. Would love to see you out. Other than that, enjoy the episode, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. I love you. All right. I love you. Goodbye. Well, not goodbye, actually. Have a good episode. All right.
You take off with me. Oh, I know it's your fantasy. Oh, won't you take off with me? Yeah, we're taking off every week.
Somebody made sick stuff. Hell yeah. Yeah, set it up here.
Cool.
Let me get this out of the way. And what is it? So you bought this painting?
It's a print. So it was very affordable. I bought it off Etsy.
Okay.
Full disclosure. And
There
they
you go.
gave me an extra piece of art, which is
The poster.
the Titanic
Yes.
movie poster, which not as authentic, not as authentic,
Right.
not
This
as
is
authentic.
like a drawing that Leonardo did, basically.
Yeah, and
you know?
I feel like maybe
Jack.
I don't have Jack.
Is his
Jack.
name? Yeah.
Jack. I feel like I don't have the expertise to be on this podcast because I don't know if Leonardo DiCaprio actually drew that, like, in the movie.
Yeah,
And I would
yeah,
like to
yeah.
know now. So
Oh, if he did the drawing in the movie. I don't know.
phone a friend, dude.
Yeah, let's see, actually. Let's see. The Things.
Someone else.
Things.com. Yeah, it's somebody different.
Someone else. It says right up front in the article. Someone
Yeah.
else drew it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even read that part.
But it's quite a surprise guest role.
Yeah, wait.
Okay.
Who is it? Did Leonardo DiCaprio draw it? Titanic looks authentic. Kate Winslet, but it wasn't really Leonardo DiCaprio. Dude, it's never gonna.
God, I
fucking
know. It's like one of those.
This
It's a
shit
recipe
pisses me the
article.
fuck off.
Just tell us the
God
answer.
damn it.
Is there not a fucking Quora on this or something?
The crew of the Titanic took things in their own hands, pun somewhat intended.
Oh my God! Just
God,
tell us the fucking
fucking-
answer.
Gonna kill myself.
Is there an email link at the bottom of this thing?
One catch though. No, Leonardo James. It's somebody named James.
James
truth is,
Cameron himself.
James Cameron himself sketched the portrait. Wow.
Was Kate alone with Kate Winslet, or did he just
The
like do
truth
the
is,
ooh?
James Cameron himself sketched the portrait and recorded himself doing so, per Business Insider. So maybe he just did it by memory. He's just like,
I think this is what it looked like,
just
left-handed.
It's his imagination. He's just drawing Kate Winslet naked. They're like, where's James? What's he doing in his trailer? It's just him like at an easel. He's like, yes, yes, perfect.
Like
He came out and said that the shit that happened was fucked up.
Yeah, I saw that scrolling through because like
Yeah.
I've kind of refused honestly to read a whole lot about it or like click on a whole lot about it because I'm tired of people like that.
Yeah,
And I think and I don't have a nice thing to say about it, so I've just like been trying not to. But
well, the guy, it sounds like, was like a huge, like, it almost is exactly the same story. Like, I guess what is so like stunning to me is it's like you did the same thing, dude. You just like, you were like, you got too big for your britches, and in the same place at the same time, like, you didn't learn the lesson.
well,
You know what I mean? You would think that
No.
the guy who's like, I'm gonna take people down there, like, would be the one who's like, yeah, I got the most, like, I've thought about this the most.
and what's puzzling to me, and I will say really quick before I completely shit on the rest of that mission for the rest of this podcast, I'm gonna say one thing. Paul Henri,
Yeah.
Dr. Paul Henri Nagiole. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't study French, so I don't. That's probably wrong. And I actually was talking with my husband this morning. I was like, "How do you say that? How do you say that French last name of that guy?" But he was like a true expert.
Yeah.
He was there for like all of the extractions of
Yes.
the artifacts, like in the 1987 expedition.
Yeah.
He was there on the one that I went on, which was the 1996 expedition, which is crazy. And we'll talk about that soon.
Of course.
But he was on that, and I'm really surprised that he wasn't like, this isn't a good idea. But maybe he was like, I've done this so many times, I don't feel that scared. But like, it is sad that his loss is sad to me.
Yes.
Because he was a true like expert and was like
Yeah.
instrumental in like everything that we have and know about the Titanic.
100%.
So like that sucks.
That's a bummer. That's like, I think the thing to me that makes me so uneasy about it is the fact that, because I was thinking about it, and you know, they're like, hey, basically I saw this one thing, this other guy had been invited to go on and he ended up saying no, and I'm just thinking about, like, if that were me, there's no way that there's a good chance that I'm saying yes. And it's just like struck me that I don't know anything about submarines. You know what I mean? I don't know shit about submarines. Like, there would be no way for me to know that I shouldn't do that. And I guess the only warning signs would be the shit that they had to sign, like, hey, if you die, like, it's not our fault, that kind of stuff.
Like, quite obviously our fault, but you're not gonna sue us for it.
Exactly. But I think that, to me, that would just strike me, like, in that moment after I've made the decision that I'm going to do it, it would just strike me as like, they have to do that.
Right.
They're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
It's fine.
And that's the shit that, like, freaks me out, because I'm like, that could easily be me.
Right. And, like, I mean, I had to sign a waiver to ride Verrucht, which I
Yeah.
did.
Wait.
You know?
Verrucht.
From Schlitterbahn, the now defunct and no more Schlitterbahn, Kansas City, Kansas.
Shit, yeah.
Sorry.
And so you went on that.
I did, yeah.
Oh my God, you're just going to, like, all these places.
It was
these dangerous excursions.
What can I say? But I would not have gone on I
Yeah.
would not have gone on that fucking submarine. I'll tell you that. Although, like, yeah, dude, Verrucht. That's another thing. Okay, so like, there's always some. It's not just like a kid dying.
Yeah,
right?
there's
and
like
it's
the
not
whole
just,
backstory of these people and their negligence.
And then though, there's the other story too, which kind of, to me, the other side, which is like that kid's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Child death, not cool to me. I don't like
Right.
child death. I'm sad that kid got his life taken.
Yes.
And you're right, by men who wanted to like be on a Discovery
They're
Channel
just
thing.
trying to like save money. And, like,
cutting
get
corners
rich,
on
quick, schemey,
a
kinda.
really dangerous and insane. I mean, it's called Verrucht is like translated as insanity. That's what the word means.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
good.
so, like, that kid's dad though is a Republican congressman in Kansas.
Yeah.
And when that whole thing happened, he used Texas law, like to get the most amount of damages.
Yeah.
Which I think when your kid is killed
Yeah.
in a negligent way, that the
Yeah.
family deserves something. I
Yeah,
totally.
It kind of should almost be the most amount of damages.
100%. 100%. I mean, like, what the fuck? But
Yeah.
what that dad then went on to do was pen and pass legislation in Kansas to keep families from ever gaining that much damages ever
Oh,
again. He put
good.
a cap on damages
Yeah.
for every other family in Kansas.
Well,
So
what
you
a
know
great
what?
guy.
Yeah, and that's what other people were like. But I feel bad for the kid that went
Yeah.
down there. Like, you know
Yeah.
what? Me too. In the sense, like in the surface level, simplistic
Yes. Like
way
human
that's like
to human, like
Yeah.
I hate hearing about people dying.
right. It's sad
Yeah.
that happened
Right.
to them. But like, someone was like, what about the kid? And I was like, oh no, who's gonna inherit the family fortune now?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like
they've
one of the
s-
wealthiest families on earth. These
spent
people spend
$500,000
so much money
to do that.
Yeah, it's like it's so much money, and the thing that really is kind of
I need to.
it. Oh, you're good. I don't know. The thing that just is sort of like terrible about the entire situation to me is kind of this aspect of like, well, we can't criticize them now that they're dead. It's like, well, actually, motherfucker, I can.
And I
They shouldn't have been spending that much money to go down to a fucking shipwreck. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're just going. It's extravagant. You know what I mean? It's extravagant to the point that it's a problem, obviously, because you can't even be safe when you do it.
No, and the unfortunate thing too, and I think that's like how capitalism, like that's one of the ways that capitalism continues to thrive, is like every human mostly can relate with like losing somebody.
Yeah.
But like if you just say, well, they spent $500,000 to like the father and son, $500,000, like nobody can relate to that.
Yeah.
Nobody. If you
Yeah.
like, very few people can relate to that.
Yeah, they spent $500,000 to go on a submarine.
Made of carbon fiber.
Yeah. Which is apparently a terrible idea.
Yeah, and like not to say that I'm some expert on like
Yeah.
materials, building materials,
Yeah.
but yeah, the fact that so many like what came out after it and what I've seen is so many people were like, that was not a safe thing, and everybody kind
Yeah.
of knew it, and like the owner said some weird things about it, just being like, well, at some point you have to just do it. Like,
Yes. And
no, you don't.
exactly. And that's like the whole thing too, is James Cameron is getting like some press because he had this video where he was answering questions about it. Because, the guy knows about the submarines and stuff. It's kind of his thing outside of like the Avatar movies.
Right.
Like, and he was saying, he's like, I wish I would have said something. Like, this was like clearly a bad idea. Da 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 da.
All right, James.
And
Okay.
for me, I'm just like, well, dude, why are we listening to you then? Because you literally are saying, you're like, yeah, I knew it was a bad idea, but I didn't say anything. It's like, dude, you're the, kind of the worst.
Did they consult? I mean, did he really know that these were like, oh shit, that's another thing. Is that like the statement that they made before they went down there, like
Yeah.
the specific mission, they were like, this is one of the worst winters in 40 years that Newfoundland's ever had. So we haven't been able to go this year, but the
Yeah.
weather is opening up in this window right
Yeah.
here, so we're going to go. And I was just like,
Yeah.
worst winter in 40 years.
Right.
The window.
All these warning
close the
signs.
window. Like, I wouldn't go. That's,
I don't
man.
know. The whole thing is just like there's so much hubris involved of like
Yeah.
these people to go down there and then these people afterwards to be like, well, I knew that it wasn't a good idea. And it's like, well, fuck off, man. Like, if you knew it was a bad
Why
idea.
didn't you fucking say
yeah.
anything?
And he says, he's like, I wish I would have said something and da 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 da. And, he also points out, he's like, I thought that maybe there were people who knew more than me and that kind of thing. And it's like, well, fair enough. And then he also was like, I was really busy with Avatar 2. That's what he said also.
Hey, by the way, Avatar 2 comes out.
He did. He plugged Avatar 2, the video that I saw. He was like, and Avatar 2 was just taking up a lot of my time. The Way of Water. Anybody? He's like, come on. Come on.
I've still never seen Avatar.
Really?
Yeah.
It's it's visually it's really cool. Storyline, like dialogue kind of stuff is trash. Like
Okay.
almost to the point where you're like, this is like feels like a prank. Like you
Okay.
feel like a prank, especially the new one. I don't remember the old one as well, but I've seen the new one. that came out like last year, and it was seriously like one of the worst.
Is that the way of water?
Yeah, that's The Way of Water. it's just, if only there were some Navi that could have prevented this. I feel so bad, but that's really funny. He did. He was like in the middle of talking about these people who died in the submarine. He was like, I was just so busy with Avatar 2 that I couldn't save them.
When I was making The Way of Water.
That's so fucking funny. I didn't even think about it.
Well, and you mentioned the script of like Avatar. The script of 1997 Titanic, not that great either.
Yeah.
Not that great. I mean, the movie, not that great.
So here's actually,
But kind of good. I still like
something
it.
that I like wonder about is, so as far as the movie goes and the accuracy sort of to the event, like, are there any things in the movie that are like very misleading to people? There have to be, right? Or is it like, I mean, I don't know. It like seems like it could be accurate, but I also don't know shit.
Will you do me a favor and will you pull up like a picture of the character Murdoch? Murdoch is the guy who you see in the movie Cal, which is like Rose's fiance.
Yeah,
right?
the mean guy, the mean rich guy with the diamond.
Yeah.
Give us the diamond
And the coat.
Yeah, he's
and
got the fucking
pretends
coat.
to be he pretends to be a little girl's dad so he can go down in the boat, like in one of the lifeboats. But you see him give money, right? And you see John Jacob Astor's character also, like make a deal with him to get in the boat. So, and I think actually he refuses Cal's money, but then he does let Astor go, which is factually correct. At least that Astor got to go. It's kind of maybe some, it's maybe a little bit of exaggeration that it was specifically Murdoch at that point. But then later it shows him kind of like have like a recon, oh shit, I'm a bad person, and he shoots himself, right? He's the character, he's the officer that shoots himself off the boat as it's going down.
Right.
And that's a rumor at best.
Yeah.
Like there were several accounts, and the book Titanic: End of a Dream by Wynne Wade, which is one of my favorite pieces of Titanic nonfiction. It's really based on the United States congressional hearing that occurred pretty much right after the rescue ships brought everybody to New York and Halifax, Nova Scotia. So. And it kind of talks it's about the political implications that it had on the United States and the world. So pretty interesting. But they talk about that. There were lots of like witness accounts where they were like, no, I mean, they didn't recover Murdoch. He died. He went down. I mean, he died in the Titanic.
Most of the people that most people didn't get recovered, right?
Correct.
Like, because they just sank to the bottom of the ocean and then were like eaten or trapped in the ships.
At that point too, like, there weren't rescue missions. I mean, it's 1912, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry. Yeah, 1912.
Yeah.
It is. Sorry. I was like, so I always am like, is it 1914, 1912?
No, it's 1912 because I have the Wikipedia for the real Murdoch pulled up, and it says that he died April 15th, 1912.
Yes.
Atlantic Ocean.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and so it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like it's far away. And so it's not easy to go back and recover bodies, especially so like kind of like with the Newfoundland's worst winter in 40 years, like it wasn't, they knew it wasn't a good time to cross that part of the Atlantic at that speed.
Yeah.
Was another thing because it was bad weather season. So so it wasn't like they were like, well, hey, let's send some more ships back in there.
Yeah.
They didn't have really like plane. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. It's 1912.
Yeah,
They're
was like
not even like airplanes aren't really
not
a very like widespread thing yet.
Don't have as many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody had cell phones back then, if you can believe it.
They probably would have like any rescue mission probably would have like
just led to more people dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like and there were actually they all had sea burials or what have you. So you see that Murdoch kills himself in that movie, but like there's witness accounts, like one person who was kind of like talking to the papers at that point, like said that, and that's why they were used.
But that might not be real.
Right.
He might not have actually killed himself.
Yeah.
Maybe
Lots of people said that they saw him struggling in the water. Like more than one witness said that they saw him struggling in the water. So what's likely is that he tried to swim or
Yeah.
fell in the water or
Right.
and perished in the water. But
It just sounds so much more dramatic to have him like kill himself. But otherwise, the movie is like pretty accurate.
the other thing, sorry, the other thing that that's
I'm just joking.
yeah, I know it's bad. It's bad. I want to say like thanks, Jake, for having me on
Yeah.
to talk about this.
Of course.
I love to talk about this. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to talk.
No,
about
I'm
this.
excited to hear about this. It's crazy.
Lightoller, Second Officer Lightoller. He is the guy that you see go back with, go back into the wreckage field with
Yeah.
the lifeboats, and
Yeah.
he's the one that they rescue Rose
Yes.
when no one else would go back.
Yes.
All right, and that is true. I mean, like he did, but so did other people. So did other
Yeah.
people that were manning boats. Like not very many, obviously, but
Right.
but he was also like a big asshole, which I'm so sorry, Ann Lightoller, if you're listening to this. I sat with his like great granddaughter on the plane to the
Yeah.
1996 expedition, and she's like actually his. And she's a really nice woman. I really loved her.
Yeah.
I went on it with my dad, and we had to
Yeah.
do like a sinking drill, and they still separated women and children at that time. So I was
Whoa.
like so scared, and Anne was
Yeah.
like, she held my hand through it. And it was like
Nice.
really nice. So like,
Okay, cool.
maybe, but in the congressional hearings, he was very like tight-lipped and like
It's like,
Kurt.
I'm not saying anything.
he was very much like sucking. He was like
Yeah.
kind of a bootlicker for
Yeah.
sure. So
Didn't want to betray the company line.
totally,
kinda,
yeah, no. And so like they kind of portray him as this like really kind, like nice person that cares about the people, but like he did not help. I mean, like the way that he testified was like to
It's not actually true.
protect the
Yeah.
White Star Line and not to
Isn't
be
that like so? That's always how it is, though. Is that like this fucking tragedy will happen due to corporate oversight, and then the people who are involved, even if they are good people, and they're like, yeah, like that guy saved as many people as he could, and like all this stuff. Afterwards, he still can't say shit because it's like his entire livelihood is dependent on the fact of like him defending this awful company.
And he went on to have like he continued a very successful
Yeah.
like maritime career for sure.
Yeah.
And like like they really were like, if anyone has ever read that book, they're like, I mean, it's pretty dry because it really is like lots of
Yeah.
excerpts from like the recordings like of the
just
actual
historical
court
sort of
proceedings.
accounts and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and like and they're like asking him, they're like, so did like they're grilling Lightoller on the stand about whether they actually followed all the safety testing protocols for
Yeah.
like the lifeboats, if they actually like put them down and then brought them back up, and then and he was like, I can't answer whether we did or not. I couldn't recall. I can't recall. Just like the ultimate bullshit answer
Yeah,
over and over and over
yeah.
again. It was like infuriating
It's
to
like
read.
the only thing that you can say that like keeps you from implicating anybody else. Is like,
Yeah.
I can't remember anything.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything about it because they can't be like, yes, you do.
Like, we know you do.
You fucking do, motherfucker. Please.
Yeah. So that's the only, I mean,
Yeah.
they really, the scale, I think, like the scale of the ship, like being able to be filmed in the way that it was in Titanic
Yeah.
1997, I think was like one of the, and the song.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the movie too. So Leave Me On.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many, I think like that was a huge part.
Wait, this song wasn't around at the original one?
Oh, hey, that's actually also like just kind of like I won't say that the movie is like to blame for making this like mistake, but kind of
Yeah.
like another misconception is like the song Nearer My God to Thee is
Yeah.
like you hear them singing it on the ship in church, like when Rose goes to church, they're singing
Yeah.
that song. If you go to the Branson Titanic Museum, they play that song.
Interesting.
At the end, it's an old hymn, and the story is that the band was playing Near My God to Thee as the
Yeah.
ship went down, but they weren't. They were actually playing a hymn called Autumn.
Oh.
And that's like
Wow.
from firsthand witness accounts who were like in the lifeboats going
Yeah.
away, and the last song that
It's
they heard.
so crazy to be able to remember what song they were playing.
Yeah.
The human mind is a fucking wild thing.
It really
like, what an
is.
insane... You're in the middle of this ship is sinking, the unsinkable ship.
And you're
you know,
fucking freezing.
Yeah, you're
too.
freezing cold. Your
husband probably just died, or your
Yeah.
like children and sons and
Yeah.
stuff. Mm.
and you're like, oh, to hear the sweet sounds of autumn.
Thank
Perfect.
God.
It's gonna keep them calm while they all like go down. I don't know. I don't know like how people remember those kinds of details. The ship was huge.
Yeah.
It was giant.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the biggest one at the time, right? It was like the biggest one ever made.
Yeah, it was the biggest one ever made, and but it also had a sister ship that was the same, like
size.
pretty much, called the Olympic.
Yes, yeah,
and
okay.
and it continued on in use
Really?
afterwards. But of
Because
course,
it wasn't the ship; it had nothing. It was the people operating it, kind of, right? Like they fucked up a little bit because they got going too fast.
Going too fast for sure.
Yeah.
Like on orders from the White Star Line.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be better.
Right. Yeah. Greed.
Yeah.
I've been reading more about the Titanic than I like ever thought I would be at this time, but this story is like so big. Yeah. It's really a huge story. And you know what? I'll say it. I don't think that the story of the Titanic is ever going to die either. I feel like that's always going to be a big story.
If I have anything to do with it, it'll never die. People will be talking about the Titanic. I mean, it's a crazy thing, and I think I always worry about and part of the reason I think why people want to go down and like look at it, right, is because it won't always be there. Like
That's
it'll eventually just be gone.
That was my sort of like big question that is confusing about it. I feel like this is what is confusing about it to me, and probably a lot of people, is like, why? What is the allure of like going down there? I mean, like, is there anything outside of just like adventure? You know, is that really it? Is just like adventure and like seeing it, kind of?
Like that one, I know that one guy, right, was like an adventure guy, like a Guinness, like a record tourist, kind of like a world record adventure or whatever.
Like a treasure hunter almost.
Yeah, like he went to space on Blue Origin.
Right.
You know, so like I guess like if if that was my life, I guess I would be like, well, yeah, I would definitely try to go see the Titanic.
I'm invincible. Yeah. I can go to fucking space, dude.
Like he had gone to like didn't he go to was he the one that had gone to like the Mariana Trench? Like
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I'd say if I had that kind of like in my pocket, I'd been to space and done that, I would be like, well, yeah, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
like what is this?
Titanic's nothing.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably that. Like it's dangerous. You know, it's 2.5 miles down. Like you know that it's at crazy depths that like. Nothing. I mean, the 1996, the 19.
Whoa! Is this different kind of expedition?
Okay, this is just like no. All right, not safe for work. Not safe for kids.
What?
What I just said.
Yeah.
Put a warning on this episode.
1996. Can't have the kids hearing that.
No.
First they say 1996, then it's CRT in our schools. It's a slippery slope.
The Titanic turns kids gay.
I've been saying it for years. Ain't nothing natural about a boat that big. Boat ain't supposed to be that big. God, pissed off. Done gonna put it at the bottom of the ocean.
I feel like somebody said something similar to me about that. Like, because when I came home from the thing, like everyone was like, "What were you doing in my like tiny town?"
Right. And
I was like, "I went to go see the Titanic get lifted up." Is what in my like 6-year-old brain I was like, "That's what they're doing," and everyone was like.
Yeah.
God is good. He doesn't make mistakes.
Titanic's supposed to be down there for a reason.
Well, and they fucked up, right? The ropes broke.
Yeah.
And they lost the piece that they had been like that was the whole point of that mission.
So, all right. Will you explain the expedition that you went on?
Yes.
And what it was for? So let's get into that, because this is like, so is this sort of like the beginning of the
expeditions of the Titanic,
or like I guess the beginning of your like interest in the Titanic? Is this where it starts?
So it started before this.
It started before this.
This is in 1996 that this expedition happened, and I was 6. But when I learned to read, I don't know how I found this book, and I brought it with me today. It's called The Titanic: Lost and Found.
Wow.
And I think it was written in 1987. Yeah, so
Nice.
2 years after they discovered the Titanic, after Dr. Robert Ballard
Yeah.
found it, while looking for a different ship.
Mhm.
Like, wasn't even looking for that one.
When they
Excuse me.
found the shipwreck, he was looking for something different.
Yeah, and I can't remember which one it
Yeah.
was right now, but he was.
Some other
Yeah, and then it's like,
some other
whoa! Like,
ship that rich people sank.
yeah, some other
Yeah.
fucking crazy thing that's like, and if I get so, like, I think what icks me out so much about shipwrecks and, like, plane
Yeah.
wrecks over the oceans, I'm like, that
Yeah.
goes into the ocean. I'm like, it's not,
Yeah.
that's gross. It's not supposed to be there. There's so much damage to,
Yeah.
like, ocean life. And
Yeah.
I
It's
hate
not
it.
like a cool, like, fixture in a fish tank. you
No,
know?
and I guess, like, maybe now, like, I know that some wreckages are turned into, like man-made coral reefs now,
Mhm.
which is good because, like,
Yeah.
the coral reefs
All
are
the
dying.
all
So
the not man-made ones are going.
going away.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the man-made stuff, we don't know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I know that
Weird.
they do have a way of doing that, and so maybe it's okay. But like, regardless, the ocean will just eat it anyway,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's like pretty soon the Titanic will just be like the wreck site will just be like 2 slicks of like rust, kind of like it won't
Yeah.
even. And then it'll
So
just be
crazy.
nothing. But yeah, this book is about it's by Judy Donnelly, illustrated by Keith Kohler, and it's like one of those like first chapter book kind of things.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
And what does it get into, like the wreck and everything, and
It
like
does.
how bad it is?
Like
and-
I remember this page specifically. So get in the lifeboats, the sailors tell them. Women and children go first. Men go only if there's room. Many do not want to get in. The big ship seems so safe. The little lifeboats do not. The sailors are in a hurry. They know there's trouble. They rush people into the lifeboats. Some are only half full, but the sailors lower them anyway. Many passengers are far from the lifeboats. These are the poor ones. Their rooms are down below. They know there's trouble too. They don't know where to go. A few try to find their way. They go upstairs and down halls. Some are helped by seamen. Most just wait below. Like, fucking, it's...
you gotta teach them early.
Oh, my God. It's... Yeah,
People have their places.
step into reading.
Women
Learn
and
what it's all
children in the lifeboat. Poor people to the bottom of the ocean.
The illustrations are kind
Yeah,
of fucked
that's
up,
fucking,
man.
like crazy.
Scary. So, yeah, like, 3-year-old me is, like, reading this and is, like, obsessed with this
Yeah.
terribly sad story.
Right.
And it was a thing. Like, everybody in my life knew about it. I got
Yeah.
Titanic things, like, as
Yeah.
presents forever. I have, like, a huge collection of
It's like
Titanic
how like
things.
some kids get obsessed with like Polly Pockets or something.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. You were like
The Titanic
shipwrecks.
and the
This
Beatles.
one,
That was
yeah,
weird, too.
nice, yeah.
And then also the Romanovs. So
Oh,
if you ever wanna do that one, I'll
okay,
come
yeah,
back.
all right, yeah, we could talk Romanovs.
yeah, it gave me a very, like, unique perspective on, like,
Yeah.
the Trump family.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, so I really was obsessed with it. Everyone in my life knew about it because I read that book.
yeah.
And I think I was like pretty obsessed with it. I got like I still have a painting that I got. It's like this
Mhm.
big ass painting I got for like a 4th birthday present
Yeah.
of the Titanic, and I was so pumped on it.
They're like, this kid loves death.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that mass tragedy that like 1,000 or so people died
Our kid
at?
loves it.
Yeah, that's like my kid's favorite shit.
Just like set your Oh,
It's like
Barney's on at this point in time.
It's like the equivalent of like a kid now being like, I love 9/11. Like it's like my favorite. His like aunts and uncles are giving him like paintings of 9/11 and shit. and,
like a full blown up picture of like that guy like
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like when the ship I one track mind
Yeah.
when the second plane hit, like, oh my God. Yeah, dude, and also rest in peace to those people. Fucking
Yeah. R.I.P.
rich capitalists ruin everything.
Yeah.
So
They're taking it all from us.
yeah. Except for that, which, you know,
Yeah.
I kind of all right, like I want to tell you about this, and then
Yeah.
of course, like as an adult now knowing about weird venture like tourism
Yes.
things like
Yeah.
this, kind of silly.
Yeah.
So on my 6th birthday, they were like, Lacey, we've got one more present for you. And I'm like, okay. And it's a fucking letter, and I'm like, what
Yeah,
the fuck is
lame
this? Like,
ass
I don't
card
fucking want this.
bullshit.
Yeah, like, okay.
Get this out of here.
And it was like a letter, and it was like from the people from like like from the captain and his wife, and they were like, "Dear Lacey, we've heard how much you love the Titanic. We'd love for you, like, we're so excited that you're coming on the cruise
Holy
in August."
shit.
And I was like, "What?" And I had no idea. I was like, "What? Like,
Yeah.
what is this?" And they were like, "We're going on a cruise. They're gonna lift up part of the Titanic. Like, we're going." And I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
"What?" And I still,
Yeah.
it's crazy because like I've asked my parents like in years since, I'm like, why did we do that? How did
Yeah.
we get to do that?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking stupid. And they always like, "I don't know. I can't remember."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "How do you not
What?
remember something like that? Like, what the fuck?" So it's shrouded in mystery
That's
for
like
me.
such a like parent like
Yeah.
especially like a dad thing to just be like,
I don't know. I don't remember.
What do I look like? I wrote it down or something.
Yeah, like they fucking
I don't know.
pretty
It's a
big
pretty
fucking
cool
thing.
deal, Dad.
Yeah, like what the hell? And like, you know, I didn't know this as a kid, but what happened was Dr. Robert Ballard, who like whenever you discover like a shipwreck, you kind of are like the guy that gets to say like,
Yeah.
like this is mine now, sort of in a way.
Yeah.
Like I get to say what you can do with it or what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
And we all know that Dr. Ballard put that like plaque on the bow
Yeah.
and was like, let's have respect for this. Like there's
Just
people
leave it
here.
here.
Yeah, out of respect, just don't take anything from
Yeah.
it. Don't come do this now that we know where it is. Because it's
Yeah.
like the biggest crazy. I mean, it's
Right.
lost forever, biggest ship, one voice. Like, oh come on, crazy.
Yeah.
And tons of rich fuckers on there
Yes.
too.
Like some of the
Guggenheims,
richest people in the world at
the
the time.
Strausses.
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, like and what's funny is like there weren't ways obviously to get it up, right? But
Right.
those families, the Guggenheims and the Strausses, they were like, "Hey, we'll pay." If
Yeah.
and one of their things is like just go put a bunch of ping pong balls in it. Go find it and put ping
Yeah.
pong balls in it and
it'll
float
float.
it back up there. Like people paid money for this kind of like those families paid money for the research to
so
go find
they-
that shit.
They like
But they failed.
literally. Oh, okay.
Well,
So
they just
didn't-
like they put up
couldn't
money.
Find it.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't find it. And they had like no technology to lift it.
And what's the deal? Like, why couldn't? What was so hard about finding it? Is it just the depth, or
I think so because
Yeah.
like sonar. When did sonar? I think first sonar was like 1917 maybe, which isn't, but it wasn't great.
Right.
And also
right.
like the just like where it was, very dangerous to get there
Yeah.
because it's in an iceberg field,
Right.
and then 2.5 miles down. I don't think that there was no capability of like a craft that could ever go that
Yeah.
far, and like even ones that say they are capable really fuck
Yeah.
up even in 2023.
Yeah.
So super dangerous thing, and like Robert Ballard was just out there looking for. We'll find that out sometime.
Yeah.
Which ship
whatever
it was.
he was looking for.
Some other cool ship. And so there just wasn't the technology.
So what was he in that when he found it? He was in like just a boat doing some radar.
So I think they
sonar
had a
type
boat
stuff?
with like I want to say it was Alvin was the submersible that they were. I don't know if Alvin is the one that they used to find it, but I know that Alvin is the one that they were able to go like look in it and stuff
Yeah.
eventually. But yeah, I believe it was sonar, and they
Yeah.
so like they would have been up on a boat on the surface,
right,
like doing
some
stuff.
remote control shit.
Not like a
Yeah.
so the first time that a manned submersible went down, I think was on the 1996 expedition.
Whoa.
Buzz Aldrin was one of the people that went down in the
Oh my
Nautil.
God.
Is what that so it was like it was
And so that's the one that you're on.
yeah.
Wow. And so okay.
I didn't go on the submersible though. I was just
Right.
on one of like there were 2 cruise ships that held people like survivors and like
Yeah.
I don't know who was on the Island Breeze, which had docked
Yeah.
like it had ported and departed from New York, and we were on the Royal Majesty out of Boston, which like Burt Reynolds was on that one.
Whoa.
Buzz Aldrin and like all of the
Oh
survivors.
my gosh.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's so wild.
Yeah, one of the survivors actually was like in the cabin next to ours, and she had survived by she was the only person from her family that survived. She was an infant, and somebody threw her in a bag and threw it in a lifeboat that was going down, and that's how she survived.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was
They
really
threw a baby in a bag.
yeah, and we're just like, please, like
Take this bag of baby.
And that's how she survived. It was awesome.
Harrowing.
Yeah. So like it was really special for them, and like it was the amount of kids on like I think all the children were on our ship maybe, but there were the same amount of kids on our ship that died on the Titanic.
Oh my God. Did they do that on purpose?
Yes, because there was a big thing where we all got flowers.
Yeah.
We all got carnations to throw over.
Yeah.
The night that we made it to like over the Titanic, there was this huge thing. There was like a band and like
kind of like
fireworks,
a celebration,
or like it was very somber, I will say,
Yeah.
but it was like a respectful, like holy. It was very solemn.
celebration of life. type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we've made it.
Yeah.
Like this is exciting for us,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
this is
yeah.
actually very sad.
Right.
Don't forget, this is very
Yeah.
fucking sad. Like all
Yeah.
you weird rich people.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, but yeah, we all there was so we did that, and the survivors threw roses over, which was really sweet, and
So you're a kid and you're obsessed with the Titanic, and you like find out you're going on this trip. Your initial reaction, I got to imagine, is like you're freaking out.
oh yeah,
You're like, hell yeah.
I was like screaming. I remember like running through the house, and like
Yeah.
I ran, like there were there was
Yeah.
a staircase on one side of our house, and then on
Yeah.
the other side too. So I was just like running up and like in this circle, like
Yeah.
running upstairs and then running across
Just
upstairs and then
couldn't
down.
stop.
Yep.
Because you're so hyped.
Yeah, I was like,
Because you're going to go on the Titanic cruise.
yeah, and in my mind, I was like, they're lifting the whole thing up. I didn't
Yeah.
realize. So that
And so what was that? What was the purpose of like, they were going to lift something up actually?
yeah, so they had found a piece of the hull in the debris field in between, because like it broke in half, and
Yeah.
there's like the stern side and the bow side, and in between there's the debris field, and so they found like a huge ass piece of the hull that had like been perforated by the iceberg and broken off, and they were gonna lift that up. So, but they could only guess like what the mud slurp, like the sea slurp of the floor would do. Like they were like, we don't know if we can do this really.
Oh, you mean like the ocean floor?
Yeah, sorry, because they were
Gotcha.
like, we
That's
don't know
what the
how
slurp
deep it's.
is?
Yeah,
They call
they-
it the slurp?
yeah, because like, and the scientific name for this piece is the big piece, also, and it's still called that to this day. It's on display in the Luxor in Las Vegas.
Oh, because there's a Titanic museum there.
Yes, the Artifact Exhibit Museum, and it was, so the original idea though was that this piece, there was going to be a Titanic museum in Boston, and this piece was going to go there, and so there were like 8 diesel fuel bags, like floats that they were going to attach to it, and then there were huge ropes, and all of the crafts, like all of the watercrafts out there, were going to pull it back to Boston.
Yeah, the cruise ships included. Or no?
I am not sure.
Yeah.
To be honest, there were like 5 tugs and stuff, and like
Gotcha.
a fuel. There was like one of them was a fuel ship and
Okay.
stuff. So like, I don't think so. Now that like, but it failed. The ropes broke, and
Yeah.
like 2 of the bags were lost, which is like they're the size of like this apartment probably. They're huge. Like they're huge, like full of diesel too, and like fucking 3 rooms,
God.
3-4 room size, like of a whole. Yeah, dude, like fucking insane.
Just diesel fuel just into the ocean?
Yeah, lost it. But luckily, one of the like floats that would like stayed on it. It didn't like release, so it had tracking on it, and they were able to go back. But it's like very expensive, and you probably have to go to court to do it too.
Yeah.
So they went back the next year and found it. So I it was pretty heartbreaking, because like I went to sleep and I was like, we have it, and my dad was
Yeah.
like, no, because we woke up and we were like docked in Nova Scotia, which
Yeah.
wasn't part of the cruise itinerary. So we
Yeah.
knew something had gone wrong.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like register for
Were
me,
you-
because
were
I was
you
so excited about.
Devastated when you found out that they had
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, I was pretty sad about it. It was like all in the papers and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it was world news. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That the submersible, the Nautil, was the first of it, like to ever be, like it was the first submersible craft to ever be able to reach 20,000 feet of
Holy
depth.
shit.
So it was like huge deal.
Yeah.
And they had an astronaut that like
Buzz
man.
Aldrin went in there, and
They thought that it might collapse also. Like it was like pretty, you know what I mean?
the vehicle,
Because
yeah,
it was a manned submersible.
Yeah, they were like, we're really nervous about this. They didn't have a guy going around being like, oh, it's no big deal.
Right. They had like a
Hey,
whole
we're-
bunch of. They had a rescue team on site. They
Yeah.
had several.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they went out there to do it right.
Yeah, I am like so blown away. It scares me. One of my biggest fears, the only thing that could have saved me in the situation that unfolded recently, is my fear of like open ocean.
Yeah, I don't like
I have
it
a
either.
huge fear of like open ocean, and the idea of like getting in a little submarine type thing and going out into the open ocean is like frightening. It's
Yeah.
so scary to me.
And
that's the only thing that maybe not my like apprehension about like being like, oh, this could be unsafe or anything. Just like a phobia that I have that's very irrational. I've never even.
I don't think it's irrational.
Yeah, I guess irrational thing for me to be scared of, just in terms of like my everyday life. Like I think about it, it makes me like fills me with dread. But I live in Kansas City, Missouri. You know, there's no open ocean.
No,
It's not a threat to me.
but we also have shipwrecks of our own here. Like
Ooh.
there's the
one in the
the Steamboat Arabia.
yeah. Classic. Another thing
Yeah.
that people love to take kids to.
I still haven't been.
Oh,
I
should
watched
go.
a documentary on, I think, HBO when it was still that on
HBO.
Mox.
Yeah.
Mox.
I fucking hate that they changed it.
I do too, dude.
The app sucks.
Yeah, and
It's a shitty app.
why didn't they make it better? Because like the fucking
The app sucked before.
Yeah.
And it's not working.
Here's the same thing. Fuck you.
Yeah,
it's
they're
worse.
like,
It
it's
looks
a new
dumber
thing
now.
with a new name.
It looks like AOL now. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like
I fucking they
we
are.
live in hell.
They're just testing us.
They are, dude.
They're like, how much can we get away with just screwing them over until I start my own television network.
Hey.
Yeah, the Jaking Off network.
Yeah. Hey,
We're selling stuff.
okay.
It's like this home shopping network. We're selling condoms.
We're selling
Yeah.
clothes. Paula Dean's
Clothes.
coming on.
Yeah.
We're selling
Paula Dean.
Titanic
Yeah.
memorabilia.
Kramer from Seinfeld. Just all the celebrities that have said the N-word. Honestly, dude, if we had a shopping network with like all the celebrities that said the N-word and got canceled, and like had them sell like gold coins
You
with
would get rich.
Donald Trump's face on them,
You would get rich.
It would be. That's $1 billion idea.
Oh, yeah.
maybe. Not billion.
Maybe.
But
That's
at
like-
least like $100 million idea.
People.
Gold. You sell gold coins with Donald Trump's face, and you have Michael Richard come on, and you be like, well, "Look at what they did to me." You want to stop it from happening to you?
Buy these coins.
Yeah, buy this coin.
And these people are like, okay, good. Yes. Like, what?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, if you want to make money, I will come on. I will help
Yeah.
in whatever way you
We're going to do it. Paula Dean, reach out. Have your people call my people. You know the code word. That's just a joke. We're anti-Paula Dean here.
Yeah, I'm anti-Paula Dean for sure.
Yeah. Rachel Ray.
Right? Yeah, she makes dog food.
Yeah.
That's
hell
like
yeah, she
good for
does.
dogs and
Yeah.
affordable. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Feed
All
the
right.
dogs.
Feed the dogs.
Yeah, get the dogs some food. All right, so you're on a ship and
Yeah.
they're exhuming an ocean grave.
A
And you
piece of it.
And you're absolutely furious when you find out that they've failed.
And yeah, dude.
But wait, so you're saying because the first guy that found it, he like put a plaque on there. He's like, "This is mine," because you get to do that when there's a shipwreck.
Well, but it was like out of respect for the, I don't remember the exact word. It was like
Yeah.
out of respect for the dead.
Yeah,
Please leave this site alone.
yeah,
Is
and
essentially what
everybody
they're
else
saying.
was like,
Let's get the shit
"Fuck
out of it.
that."
Yeah, they're like, are you kidding me? This is the
Yeah.
Titanic. There were rich people on it. Let's see what was in it. Let's see what was
Yeah.
in it. Let's totally fuck with it.
Yeah, and so they like didn't listen to what that guy wanted at all.
Right, and they took him to court.
Yeah,
But, like, that's the way they didn't listen. They were like,
so they had to take him to court.
yeah,
to
and
be
he
able to do it.
lost.
How did he lose? What's the court? Wait, I guess like. So do you know the details of this? Like, what's the
No.
court? What is the court arbiting here? They're like, that's his ship.
Well, they're like, essentially,
It's his treasure.
I think they're like, people can make money off of this.
Yeah.
So cut your fucking respect
There
bullshit.
you
Like, cut
go.
the crap,
yeah, that
dude.
makes sense.
Like, I think they were like, also, the international community and the survivors. Some of the survivors were like, yeah, we want
we want
our, like, we want to see what
yeah,
we want the
there's that-
stuff
there
from
could be
there.
that diamond down there,
Right?
Yeah.
And like they were like, no, we want it, you know. So and lots of people wanted it, and they wanted to make a cruise out of it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
So-
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, Dr. Ballard lost, and And they'd already done like a huge artifact extraction in 1987, which Dr. Nalgilet had, rest in peace, had actually, like, he was the he was the guy that like he was in charge of it.
Yeah.
And he was like overseeing it because it's like the French Institute for like the rescue. It's like IFREMER is what the acronym is, but it's like they were. I think they were actually also there trying to fucking find the people. Right? Because, like, didn't 3 government agencies, like the French and then...
Yeah. Oh, with this most recent thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, like, internationally coordinated because...
Love to pay taxes for that.
Well, and what's even worse about it from that perspective is that the... So the thing... There was a loud bang.
Yeah.
At the same time that they lost... contact with the submersible, which now in hindsight everybody's like, well, that's because it collapsed under the pressure. Yeah, it imploded. But they didn't know that, or like they didn't tell them immediately that was sort of the case. And so they kind of like this entire manhunt that like ensued was somewhat, I mean, they were gonna like do it anyways,
completely
probably,
in vain.
But like a lot of it was likely like could have been sort of avoided with like a little bit more detailed information from the people. But like obviously this company is trying to obscure anything they possibly can.
Oh yeah,
most
they're
likely
like
from
completely wanton
anybody.
negligence.
Yeah, the second that they like lost contact, the people that were in charge from there on out were probably like, oh, okay, well, we are not going to tell anybody about this until we have to, because they waited until like later in the evening. And so I was watching a thing, and that's what there was like some Coast Guard official that was like, that really is like, you know, sort of the theory at this point is that in between the time of like them losing contact and them reporting it is like this implosion happened. And, you know, they were like, we had no way of knowing until we searched a bunch of the fucking ocean. And then those people, I think that they kind of found out later that there was a little bit more to the story. So
it's just infuriating.
It really is,
because it's like weren't going to be able to like really probably save them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ever. And that's I remember like a lot of people. The only reason that I saw like a news thing about it is because we went out to lunch for work and they had like the news on, and it was like banging herd, and I was like, okay, but there's also a million fucking rescue efforts out there right now. It could be like any of the other crafts.
Yeah,
it
it's
could
also
be
the
anything
entire
else, like,
ocean,
right?
You know,
and
and even if even the banging being heard, it's like, well, you know, in regards to this, it was heard way before it had been reported. It's not like they heard the banging then.
Yeah, they heard it.
They heard the banging when they lost contact with the ship, with the submersible. And so it didn't make any sense for them to like search, but I get the sort of like need to like feel like you did everything or whatever, but
to look like you did everything too.
Yeah, to look like you did everything as well. But at the end of the day, like, it all comes down to this guy and his fucking company who could have this all could have been avoided if he would have just not been such a greedy prick. Yeah,
and been like truly realistic.
Yeah. Like
about what these people are spending their money on.
So you go on this cruise, they fail. What is like the next, because it's like Titanic and then finding the Titanic, obviously.
Yes.
And then the mission that you were a part of,
1996.
And then what has happened since then and now?
Right. So probably most notably to the public, 1997 was the year that gave us James Cameron's Titanic.
The Titanic, yeah.
The song My Heart Will Go On, performed by Celine Dion.
Holler.
Love it.
Song. Good song.
Great. And but that was also the year, and I think like when we went on tour to go, so I'm in a band called DREAMGIRL, and we went on tour last year and we stopped in Las Vegas, and so of course we went to the Artifact exhibition at the Luxor. It was great. Really good time. It's really good too. A great museum. I recommend it. I was actually like looking, like reading back through like just about the expeditions and stuff, and the big piece which is on exhibit there. So I was like, when did they fucking get it? When did they find it? But they went back the next year and found it. But they've like been going back to get more
other
artifacts. Like there was a 1998 expedition where I think like kind of buttoned up everything from like 1996 and 1997.
All the stuff they dropped.
Yeah, and then like I think shortly before the pandemic there was like going to be Titanic 2. That news came out, but
I remember that.
They've been like certain agencies like the IFRE, MER, the French Ocean Institute people, and then apparently this Ocean Gate company, they've like have been going down there to see, just to kind of keep track of its disintegration. Because it like we mentioned before, it won't be there forever. So so I think like there's not really a whole lot more to glean anymore from like expeditions and discovery, because that already kind of happened. So it's really just like a thing we can like talk about and look at. And
it really is like now to the point where it's like it's the only real reason to go down there is to see how degraded it is, or for just like the adventure.
And I wouldn't necessarily want that feeling, because we were talking earlier about the expedition and how they had all the kids and like the survivors throw the flowers over at the site as like a funeral kind of procession in a way. And what I really hope to kind of, I guess, like help the listener understand or feel like is how desolate and alone it felt out there with just ocean all around you. Like, I couldn't imagine to have been
bitter colds.
In like a person in the like who had been on the Titanic in that water, like and I can't imagine thinking that even if you'd made it into a lifeboat. Like, I remember thinking that as a 6-year-old, being like, no one would come out here and help us if we, and that's why I think that the people that passed away on the submersible recently, like, it's just so far out there, and and that's why your fear of like the open ocean is like not irrational, because like I love shipwrecks, right? Like I like the ocean. I think it's cool, but like that's the only cruise I've ever been on to this day. When people are like, let's go on a cruise, I say no thank you. I don't want to go. Like I'm cool to like lakes are cool to me because they definitely have like a closer shore.
I can do a lake.
Rivers.
I can do a pool.
Pool. I could do a pool. I love a pool. Yeah, like but it's in the middle of nowhere out there, and it really is like it's not an irrational fear, because
the like idea of going out there in just in the middle of nowhere, like you would think that, because it's not like they took the submersible all the way there. No, like they have to take a ship out into the middle of nowhere. It probably takes you like a day or two.
It takes a couple days to get out there.
To get out there. And, you know, you have to like think that these people must have been questioning their decision like on the way there.
I would have,
you know,
I mean,
like you, like once you get out there and you're like, damn, this is fucking like
there's
in the
nothing
middle of
out
nowhere.
there and on water.
Yeah. And even if it didn't implode, like what it sounds like based on all of the failed attempts to get anything back from the regular Titanic, the OG Titanic.
Yeah, before this, like just doing it for fun.
Impossible.
Happened.
Yeah, like it's impossible to get down there, and especially if you're in a situation where, I don't know. I feel like maybe they must have been at least like okay with the thought that like they could easily die.
And I definitely like tweeted about that because I was like, you know what, if assuming that these guys love the Titanic like half as much as I do, right, which is like a lot, you know, I love it. I think it's so interesting, the whole thing about it, and like it's gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It was luxurious. You know, like it's interesting. Right. If they loved it half as much as I do, then maybe once they realize, I hope that maybe like some comfort to them is once they realize like this is how I'm gonna die. Yeah. Like were it me on a fucking like Titanic sub tour and I was like I'm gonna die this way, I'd be like, well, this is cool for Lacey Hopkins. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Fair
like,
enough.
All right, if Lacey Hopkins was gonna die one way, this would be other than just like in my sleep. Yeah. That would be a cool way to do it. And honestly, no pain, too. Like,
That was
no
the thing.
pain
Is like
other than mental anguish.
It must have been pretty instantaneous, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because you like
the amount of pressure, like,
yeah.
and the first. I'm sure that most people at this point have like seen the video,
read
and then
about
also
it. Yeah,
and like there was the MythBusters thing, right, that resurfaced, and like, or is that new? That was no, it's not new. It can't be.
I don't think that I haven't seen the MythBusters thing, but I know that there's just been like a lot of like
it's like a body in a
it's
wetsuit,
like a simulation like kind of thing, and yeah, there's been a lot of talk about how and James Cameron talked about it in his video that he where he was talking about it was that they would have died basically instantly, you know.
Yeah, and it's not like a pretty thing to think about. Like
No.
the people that perished on the Titanic, way worse, way longer, way more like disgusting death. But those people were crushed by, I mean, I don't even know how low. I mean, I don't know what depth they were actually at. But like if you were at like 7,000 feet, then it's like the pressure on 1 square inch of your body would be over like 200,000 pounds. So like,
Jesus,
you would not feel. You wouldn't feel anything.
Yeah. Well, that's at least, you know, if you take anything away from this podcast,
if you choose to do that and it fucks up, you won't feel anything if you die.
It didn't hurt that bad for those guys. So. And be careful going to shipwrecks, dude. Don't do that, guys.
Why would
what
you?
Are you doing?
There's so many videos on YouTube also. Like there's so many videos, there's so many books that you can read, there's so many documentaries that you can watch at this point.
You don't gotta get in the sub.
Nope, you don't.
Don't
and
get in the sub.
Don't get in the hashtag no sub, because seriously, why would you? You know, that guy, like, I wouldn't. Also, call me crazy, but like I don't choose to give money to people like that. So
to get rich quick businessmen.
I'm trying to think of a time.
A guy who sounds like the equivalent of like Conan O'Brien from The Simpsons, where he's selling the monorail.
Yeah, right.
He's like, we gotta get to the bottom of the ocean, kid.
I think I have.
You're gonna be a star when we come back up.
Like, I'm trying to think, and like I definitely like buy things like as a person living a life.
Yeah.
But yeah, try Sunrise Movement plug. Sunrise Movement plugs.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
like,
actually, this is perfect timing, because I was gonna say we can go ahead and wrap up. But Lacey, anything you would like to plug?
Yeah. So
And go off. We can do as long of a plug.
Okay.
as
Cool. I was
needed.
like, sick. So I am a member of the Sunrise Movement, the Kansas City hub, and what that is it's a direct action group that really tries to help shape public policy through like conversations and pressure with and on local politicians, local businesses and developers. We try to get involved in the legislative process to hopefully make legislation that creates a sustainable future for like us younger people and children. It's a youth-led organization. I will age out when I'm 35. I will join the Sierra Club then.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so it's truly a youth-led organization, and they've done great work. They if you're a Kansas City listener, they were super instrumental in helping get those bike lanes on Truman. And they really that's what actually compelled me to join was seeing them at those meetings and hearing their testimony, and so recently we had the city council election. Casey Tenants Power is another wonderful organization. SEIU, which is the Service Employees Industry Union. Decarcerate KC and the Sunrise Movement KC kind of all did, and Pro-Choice Missouri as well, which is changing soon to Abortion Action Missouri. Any of those organizations, we really just need everybody to join at this point. If you have any kind of inclination or care, whenever shitty developers get tax incentives, we're all kind of working to make sure that Kansas City is more for the people and not for the profiteers. So, yeah, you can Google any of that. We'll share links and stuff.
For sure,
but,
they'll be in the description of this podcast.
And you can also message me at at DREAMGIRL. On Instagram, I'm in a band called DREAMGIRL. You might know our song Teenage Blue. But if you have more questions about that, or joining any of those organizations, I'm only a member of Pro-Choice Missouri and Sunrise Movement, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or point you in the direction of people that can.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just I think like yeah, if you're feeling forlorn and like you see these rich guys fucking just spending $1 million fucking dollars on nonsense, and it makes you feel a little bit incensed, then I welcome and implore you to join us. So
yeah, fuck yeah. There is one other thing that I have to ask you about specifically, and I meant to do this at the beginning of the show, but I think that this is also a perfect way to wrap up. So, because you're not on Facebook anymore, I don't think.
No,
you were not that long ago,
right?
And you made this post, and it was like one of my favorite posts online that I've ever seen, because I was like it was you basically going through and like saying and like calling out all of the people that have ever like
by name.
Yeah, by name that have ever
don't fuck with me.
That have ever like told you that you couldn't be a successful musician, that you could never be a musician at all, like da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I had to like bring that up because I thought it was like so awesome. I got like so much secondhand kind of like, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to fucking do that.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? I can't wait.
Yes.
And like I feel like that.
Thank you.
Is that something that like how good did that feel? Like, God, that kind of shit
it
just
feels
had to feel so good.
It feels so good. So yeah, just to talk a little bit about that, I'm a musician. I'm from southern Missouri, mostly Springfield, and then I've been in the Kansas City scene for I guess 9 years now. And we've never been in the pitch. We've never been the star, doesn't really report on music or arts or what. So, that sucks. Yeah. Maybe change that if anyone's listening from the star. That's
McClatchy media.
Really fucking lame. Like, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and you're reporting on none of it. So, anyway.
Local journalism is, like, pretty dead.
Although Sunrise Movement, the star did post an op-ed that Layla Zadie and I from the Sunrise Movement wrote for the election, which was cool.
The Star actually they do some like local political coverage.
Pro KC Defender. If you haven't like followed them or read anything.
I follow KC Defender.
Yeah, KC Defender. Thanks. I'm so glad that they exist. It's great. But yeah, so sorry, I totally got off track. Yeah, tangent. I do it. I kind of grew up in a part of obviously Missouri that doesn't like rock and roll music, and then in Springfield it was a huge boys club, and then in Kansas City it really was too when I moved here, and it's really just like a club for I don't know, so I guess like we've never really had any support from
like institutional support.
No, and even like a lot of our friends are like other musicians that we used to play with, like that we thought were friends, or that we would definitely like play shows with, and stuff. Because I refuse to play shows with like certain bands that I don't like or that I don't agree with. So, when they were like, they said like rude things about us, and they have like 9 monthly listeners on Spotify, which like fuck Spotify, but don't talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, so
that's like some big shit. Like that's like such a weird, it's like, come on, dude.
That's
work on your own shit.
And also, like, I was at the same time, like, probably propping their shit up and, like, pro their shit and, like, friends with them.
That's always what it is, though, is, like, you get these people, because we were talking about, like, haters or whatever. Like, you get these people who just, like, even if you're not even, like, what you consider successful, like you're not even like really like achieving like anything, even if you're just doing something, they will fucking hate you
exactly. And man,
and that's kind of what that post was about.
It was I made a Facebook post that kind of like so DREAMGIRL recently a Warner Records subsidiary called Revolution Records has re-released our EP, and we're getting ready to release a series of music videos for it. We re-recorded Teenage Blue and Sweet Thing and High Dive also off of the EP. And for the first time in the way that, like, in a studio, because we recorded that shit when I was like drunken 23 in a, well, some of us were upstairs in a bedroom and some of us were downstairs in the living room, and the cords were running like down the stairs, and like it sounds like shit. What the thing on Spotify that has like 41 million streams, fuck everybody in that post, was recorded in fuck you again. So that was recorded in a bedroom. So this Warner thing just allowed us to re-record it finally in like a real way. And so it feels really good. I made a post about it that like, hey, all of you that doubted me and said shit about my music and like were rude to me, who are like still trying to do it, and like I commend you, I guess, for still trying to do it. But I also like am a person that's like I wasn't good at being a barista. I wasn't good at it. I didn't make a, you know what I mean? And I finally was like, my talents and my person would be so much more useful somewhere else. Sorry. So and you know, I love shitting on people like that, because a lot of people get into music to get famous or like be cool and popular, and like and now that like we're on Warner on Sub Pop stuff, I'm like, I just want to use it to get people to sign up for Sunrise Movement, Casey.
There you go. Well,
but thanks for support. Thanks for always supporting too. I remember we ran into each other at like, I think I had just played a show and you were at a wedding. We were at Record Bar, and I was like,
I was upstairs. I had officiated my cousin's wedding on some minister shit. I didn't know you were in.
Are you? Wait, does that like ever go away? Are you an officiate forever?
I don't think that I am anymore.
Because Skylar from DREAMGIRL married me and Joe.
Nice.
He's an officiant.
I would hope that I still have it. I think you
deserve it.
Yeah, I still got the juice. I could still do it.
If I ever get married again.
Holler. Well, with that, I think that like we're good to. Do you have anything else that you would like to say to the listeners of Jake Off Nation, to the citizens?
Jake Off Nation. I love you, Jake Off Nation. Thank you, Jake, for having me.
Of course, anytime.
This was great.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. And as always,
that's all I got.
You guys know that you can send anything at all to jakeand.off.podcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram at jakeand.off.podcast, and also YouTube. Just look it up. You know where it is. Other than that, I love you. Thank you for listening. I love you so much. Bye-bye.